A proud Indian chief had seen his tribe devastated and 2 of his children perish. It was 1879, and he desperately asked a court to grant his freedom. But Chief Standing Bear was told that in the eyes of the law, he was not even considered a person. Standing alone before a federal judge, he made a statement that would change legal history. Hello, I'm Bridget Lyles, and in this Moments in History, we take a look at the remarkable trial of Chief Standing Bear versus General Crook, a story of a deathbed promise, a leader's poignant message, and a moment that extended the most basic legal rights to Native Americans.
It's an honor to be here today to recognize a Nebraska hero and one of the most important civil rights leaders in our country that almost nobody knows about.
Federal lawmakers and leaders from Nebraska gathered at the U.S. Capitol to dedicate a statue of Chief Standing Bear of the Ponca Tribe, a man who defied the law in 1879 to fulfill his son's dying wish.
Standing Bear was a man that decided to buck the system, frankly, and he decided to do that because he felt that he was being treated unfairly and simply wanted to be an equal among Americans.
Standing Bear's trial took place more than 140 years ago at the Nebraska District Court in Omaha. The Ponca, a peaceful tribe, were forcibly removed from their land along the Niobrara River in northeastern Nebraska and marched more than 500 miles to Indian Territory in Oklahoma. It's estimated a third of the tribe died following what is now known as the Trail of Tears, including Standing Bear's daughter, Prairie Flower. His son Bear Shield died upon arrival in Oklahoma and on his deathbed asked to be buried back at their tribal homeland. Standing Bear agreed to turn back to Nebraska.
There's a belief for our people in our homelands where we lived for centuries that when our people were buried, they go back into the earth. So our ancestors' DNA is in the grass and the animals that feed on that. And so that circle of life for us, that means that's our connection.
It was a grueling midwinter journey back home to honor his son's wish. Chief Standing Bear, with a handful of men and severely limited supplies, made it through the snow as far as Omaha when the Department of the Interior ordered General George Crook to arrest him. But Crook had developed a great empathy for the American Indian.
He felt that the government was asking him to do more than he thought was right from a moral standpoint. And he recognized the plight that Standing Bear was in and came up, generally speaking, with this idea to have the court involved.
Crook notified Thomas Henry Tibbles, a reporter for the Omaha Daily Herald, and the story was widely publicized. Then 2 prominent lawyers took Standing Bear's case without charging legal fees. They brought a writ of habeas corpus against General Crook, claiming Standing Bear was being unlawfully detained.
And that's what the writ of habeas corpus is all about, to produce the body and tell the court why you're holding that person.
However, the government argued that under the law, Indians were not legally persons and could not sue for release from custody.
I think that there's some that would say that he enlisted the help of the press and then came up, generally speaking, with this idea to have the court involved to determine whether or not he, General Crook, had the authority to send Standing Bear back to Oklahoma.
Beginning his opinion, Judge Elmer Dundee addressed the court.
During the 15 years in which I have been engaged in administering the laws of my country, I have never been called upon to hear or decide a case that appeals so strongly to my sympathy as the one now under consideration.
Judge Dundee was not required to let Standing Bear speak, but at the end of the proceedings, off the record, he allowed it, and Standing Bear proved to be quite the orator.
He stretched out his hand and said, "That hand is not the same color as yours. But if I pierce it, I shall feel pain. If you pierce your hand, you will also feel pain. The blood that will flow from my hand will be the same color as yours. I am a man. God made us both."
Those words are inscribed at the base of a 9-foot-tall memorial that now stands in the U.S. Capitol's Statuary Hall.
And I think that that plea told Judge Dundee that he had to give standing to this gentleman that was pleading before him.
Standing Bear's words were largely forgotten for more than a century. In 2009, journalist Joe Starita, who learned about the case from tribe members, published a book that brought the chief's story to greater public attention.
We Americans need to understand what we did to Native people. You cannot progress along the line that we want to as a democracy if we don't tell the truth to ourselves about things that we did. And you cannot come to grips with the reality until you do tell the truth.
Working separately, a law clerk for Judge Joseph Battalion learned about the case while doing legal research. Mary Catherine Nagel wrote a play about Standing Bear's case, also published in 2009.
It was so shocking to me to have graduated from an ABA accredited law school, a major ABA accredited law school, and no one there knew about this case. And I feel like one of the best ways to combat systemic erasure is art and storytelling.
This hand is not the color of yours, but if I pierce it, I shall feel pain. If you pierce your hand, you also feel pain.
The museum in Washington, D.C. hosted a dramatic retelling of the trial in 2012, and Mary Catherine Nagel's play was later shown again at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian, receiving praise from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. The effort to dedicate the statue for Chief Standing Bear was organized by Judy Gashkibas and her daughter.
It just takes one person to change the world, and one by one, if we collectively unite our voices and our spirits, this really can be a better America.
The more that we can tell that story, the more people will learn about not only just the Ponca Tribe, but Native people across the country. There are over 580 tribes, and for the country to have a broader knowledge about Native Americans, we're not just in the past, we're still here.
Following the trial, Chief Standing Bear was set free and returned to his tribal home. He remained a champion for Native American rights until his death in 1908. Ponca Tribe members who still live in western Nebraska continue to honor his memory.
I think that that legacy stands for something, and that it's important for people to understand that they have to stand up for their rights. And I believe that it's a lesson that was important back in the 1870s, and it's important today.
The Ponca worked to overcome hardship again decades later. In 1966, the United States government terminated recognition of the tribe. Members battled for that recognition for nearly 30 years, and in 1990, the Ponca Tribe was officially restored by then-President George H.W. Bush when he signed the Ponca Restoration Act into law. For the U.S. Courts, I'm Bridget Lyles. Thanks for watching.